This is Talking Bullish, the new Bradford Bulls podcast.
We're your hosts, Alan Raisin
And Laura Micklefield.
So we're reviewing the York match this week. We're talking about all the news that's been going on in the world of Bradford Bulls and previewing our game against Batley.
Welcome back for another week of Talking Bullish. So welcome to Alan.
Hello.
And yeah, fresh off the match against York's Knights. What are your thoughts, Alan?
Oh, what a disappointment. I thought we were playing quite well, like winning, well, not to give the game away, but winning at 10 minutes to go or so. But it wasn't to be, was it? They just outplayed us.
Disappointing, I think, was the general tone of things. When kind of seeing fan opinion, there's a lot said about the referee in this match. Even referenced to by Brian No-ble as well, but obviously you've got to be quite careful about what you say.
Yeah.
But there was some controversial decisions, but at the same time you got to play better than we played to win the game. So as much as you can kind of blame the ref, so to speak, I don't think the outcome would have been different, in honesty. I know obviously you can say, oh well, if that didn't happen then this wouldn't have happened, etc, etc, but I do still think the general trend of too many errors, too many penalties led to the same result.
Yeah, we didn't do ourselves any favours, did we? Lots of sloppy errors, lots of self-harm.
Yeah, it was a bad start, really. It seems to be like bad missed tackles and knock-ons. York took advantage of that, break through a pass of Vans and scored to make it 6-0 to them. Obviously, because the kick was successful from the touchline. That's another thing that we're kind of struggling on a bit. Not saying, like I say, that you should get all the kicks, but when the opposition are getting their kicks from the touchline, it's one of those that's not going to be great for us. And yeah, we followed that up with, like, you get in a penalty, ends with a knock-on straight after it, get 2 penalties on their line, force a dropout, and then just waste it. Like, no play on the last tackle, just took the tackle, that was it. And you just think, oh, it's just that frustration of, again, I think I've referenced to it before, because I know obviously Brian No-ble disagreed with me, even though obviously I've not had a chat with him about it, but just looking lost near the line again, it's not through like effort. It just seems like if a team like York, like the good defensive teams are there, it just seems to be the let's try up the middle and then we'll do the kick to touch. And it's the same pattern. And I think if you study how we play, you'll learn that and you keep us out. And that's what York tended to do. But yeah, we did bring it back. Obviously, we got it we kind of started with a York pass that were intercepted by Lily, and then a neat little kick through by Holmes, and York collected it, but Tom then followed up his own kick, forcing a knock on, and I thought that kind of gave us a bit of momentum. We're a bit sloppy when we're on the line again, like I said before, but then luckily a quick fire pass from dummy half to the short side, and Guy Armitage scored in the corner, and like we said, Lily hit the post. So yeah, then it took us to 4-6 because obviously the missed goal. So then the next set, there was, like I say, a lot of York pressure, I think, but we were handling it quite well. I know that there were a brilliant tackle from Blake, which I thought we did a bomb on the last. He ran, did a brilliant tackle, and then they were given a penalty, saying it were high tackle.
Yeah, okay.
we saw it live. Obviously, maybe we've got blinkers on being Bulls fans, but there didn't seem to be much wrong with it. It didn't seem like a high tackle, just seemed like a great tackle, to be honest. We were all celebrating it, and then next minute York are kicking a penalty into touch, and you just think, oh, just frustration. But yeah, I think that was the main thing I felt the weekend, just frustration, because even from that, we got the ball back, brilliantly, and then on the second tackle, Lily tries to kick a 40-20, wasn't successful, and York get the ball back, and you just think, oh, like, I don't know where that's coming from, like kicking on the second tackle, especially with the kind of, if you look at the statistics of how many 40-20s Lily gets trying, it just doesn't seem like the right play to me. Again, I don't know if it's something that they've said they want to defend, you know what I mean, rather than attack and just be strong in defence, but if you're going to do that, then you do have to defend it.
And then York knock on, so, you know, we get a chance with a great pass to the edge, and then Hurrell knocks on. Yeah,
so that again, like, lovely play, like I've been saying quite a lot, like I do like it when we spread the ball a bit, get to the edges, and then just a sloppy play of the ball, knock on again. So again, frustration. But then we did get a 7 tackle set from York kick that went too long. And then lots of meters were made by Tom and Wackerblake. But then a high tackle on Fulton, then a penalty. So you're thinking again, might get a chance here. So got good set, got upfield. York defended it. And then after the penalty, we kicked out on the full. So you're just like, oh, again, frustration. But in fairness, ending 4-6, half time, low scoring, good defensive effort by both sides, in fairness. It was just sloppy, is what I'd say.
Yeah, and despite playing, the extra week last week, York still had plenty of energy. I thought we might, have the advantage there in terms of energy of the squad, but, they didn't. They look good.
Yeah, my thought on the first half is they looked more energetic than us. They just seemed to, like, contacting tackles. We didn't seem to be gaining too many metres apart from if we got those odd breaks. But they seemed to be making far more metres down the pitch when they were on attack. So, I was just hoping that there'd be a kind of change around in the second half.
Yeah. Well, it started well. So, they're talking about kicks. So Keys managed to kick a beautiful 40-20.
Yeah, that was a brill one. I think leave the 40-20s to Keys in my opinion. But it was a great kick. Got us like 10 metres out from the York line. Thinking again, right, good chance here. Lovely hands through to the edge, and then ends with a forward pass. So it's just again that whole like, we get in there and then make the error. And
then again, York put pressure on us. They kick a bomb, and then they catch it on the last, but then it's held up on the line. So, again, getting very close to scoring. Yeah, and then Tom Holmes, I think he came back with a vengeance. He seemed to be making quite an impact. Noticed him a lot on the field, and he got a lovely break up the field. After dodging a few tackles, he was tackled, and then next play of the ball, we spread it to the edge, kicked through, and then kicked forward by Guy. And I think on the commentary it said there was some good football skills there. Definitely, yeah. He collects and scores off his own little chip through afterwards, and Lily kicks the goal from that one. So that was a brilliant try. One that were enjoyable to watch. Yeah, in fact, I think that's the best example of footwork that I've seen in my years of watching rugby league. Yeah. So they are short years, as we say. But really great try. Individual effort, individual skill, but gets us to 10-6. Yeah, and then you think momentum may be switching our way, and Michael knocks on in the first tackle of the set. Oh, again, so it was just York were then given a penalty for offside, but luckily then York knocked on. We get upfield, but then again look a bit lost on the last. Fulton ends up kicking it, and York get the ball back, and we don't manage to keep them in the in-goal area. So it was, again, one of those, but good strong runs then to get us upfield after that. York was offside, so we take the 2. So yay. So get obviously ahead to be a try and a conversion in front. Yeah, so at this point I was quite optimistic, I think, even though we had lots of errors. we were ahead.
Yeah, it was good. It was the same pattern again. It's like we did that. And then straight off the back of getting the penalty, we scored the 2. Then the kick off back to us. They collect the kick and then pass it back to a player who was over the dead ball line.
Yeah.
So we conceded a goal line dropout. So it's like we scored the try, knocked the ball on. Scored the try, concede a goal line dropout. It was just like, you just
basic errors there. And
yeah. So it wasn't surprising from that they scored off the back of that. There was a kick on the last, and they get the ball, but the tackle count's wiped down. I'm still not sure why. I have seen that on the replay as well. I think they're saying it came off a Bradford player, but I did think that it was a York player that knocked it back.
Yeah.
But anyway, like we say, decisions go either way. It was knocked down, but then this was the try that was controversial because they kind of dive over from dummy half, but it looks like a Bulls player was already taken out and was on the floor, and they just kind of dive over him and score the try, which isn't legal. But obviously that's not what the referee saw, and gave the try, so that made it 12-10 because that kick was missed. So obviously still behind at that point, but it switches momentum at that point, I think. So
York with then the momentum at 12-10, and then we give them a penalty for holding down, but then that was no worse than anything else that had been going on all match. So maybe should we say a bit of favour from the ref if we believe that?
I think this is where the frustration came from by the fans. It seems to be things like that. Like there were so many times where you think it could have been a set restart. York were messing about a bit, not being very quick at play the balls, but then they're giving a penalty for that one that seemed no different really. So it's just the inconsistency I think that people get frustrated with. But then obviously from that they get to the end of the set, do a neat little kick through. It was missed by Lily, just kind of evaded him, and the York player catches it, scores, kicks successful because it's right in front of the post, and then it's 12-16.
Yeah, so behind again then. So it was quite toing and froing with the lead, wasn't it? But so then York break again. Bulls don't cover the kicker on the last tackle, but then luckily that goes into touch. So.
Yeah, it was a good tackle to get the player into touch at the end of that. So it kind of went a bit kind of back and forth at that point. There were sets both ways, and our last tackle, the high bomb from Keys, Blake collects it, run through, round under the sticks to convert. So I thought that was another really good try, enjoyed that one. Lily converts it, gets us back to 18-16. So at this point we were quite confident that maybe we get the win. I think we're about 5 or 6 minutes to go at this point, were there?
I can't quite remember exactly. I think it might have been a little more, but enough time that a bit of clever play, confident play could see the match out, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we got a Bulls got a penalty on the restart for a ball strip and a little bit of a scuffle, but no one was sent off. It was just kind of a bit of a talking to him, even though the York player threw the ball at Tom Holmes' head, so usually that's some kind of dissent or sin binning, but again, nothing done for it, just a talking to. This again is the frustration about refereeing sometimes in the Championship. They get the ball back after our set looked like they knocked it down, even though it was never called for that. So you just, again, think things are kind of going their way. But it did end with a forward pass, and it was our scrum on halfway. So at this point, we did have 5 minutes to go, and then we knocked on.
Yeah, the worst place. York 30 metres out.
We'd had the knock on, and then York were 30 metres out on their play to try and score. Tom went to do the tackle and knocked the ball out, so it classes as a Bulls knock on rather than him committing to the tackle, which again, it can go either way. It can be that the player didn't look after the ball, or the player who's tackling intentionally went to knock the ball down. Yeah. That's obviously how it was judged, giving York the scrum 10 metres out, and from that scrum, as we all know how it ended, they spread it to the side and score in the corner. Yeah, so they didn't get the kick, but at that point it's 18-20, and not enough
they were
time.
just running down the clock themselves. Then they're taking so long over the conversion kick, and
it frustrates me, things like that. I do think it's bad sportsmanship, but at the same time, there's no rules against it, so they're going to do it. But it was frustrating because we saw the time on the clock when the try was scored, and there was about, I think, 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And the clock didn't stop until about 56 seconds to go. So it was way over a minute. It must be like, let's say, more a minute and a half, further towards 2 minutes. So that was really frustrating because it was obvious then that we wouldn't have enough time to get it back. Obviously, the short kickoff was unsuccessful. They managed to get it, but we did have the ball back towards the end. But there was, 10-20 seconds left at that point. And you just think, if there were an extra 30 seconds on top, could we have done something? We've scored in many matches in the last kind of dying deaths of a match. So, yeah, but at the same time, we can make all the excuses in the world saying about the referee and things not going our way, and those are the sort of things in the Championship you've got to deal with. You don't have the video ref, you can't have a re-look at things, but if we didn't make the errors we made and we didn't give the penalties away that we gave, we could have won the match. It's kind of the same pattern we've had before. We've just been lucky that in the other matches we've either defended the errors or we've capitalised towards the end of the match. So close one in the end, just frustrating.
So final score 18-20 to York. End of our winning streak.
And it's still, we're still second in the table, not massively affected things, just make us 2 points behind Toulouse now rather than on same points, but things can change. There's still a long time to go in the season. Let's just hope the trajectory goes up rather than down.
And did it mean that York move up into third? Or
York are now in third. So,
chasing at our heels. So it's going to be an interesting second half to the season, really. Obviously a quick turnaround for the next match on Friday night.
Bulls news this week. A few things. So myself and Alan were a bit frustrated after the podcast last week. So we literally recorded it, and then about 10 minutes later, was it? The announcement about Jayden Okunbo's extension. So it was a shame we didn't get to mention that last week. But brilliant news.
Great that they're already thinking about next season and signing players up. Hopefully means that we'll continue to have a strong squad.
Definitely, and I think it was the night was made even better by a announcement a few hours later saying that Mitch Suter had also signed an extension. So again, really brilliant news. Two good players that seem to be really enjoying the rugby whilst they're at Bradford, and the fans enjoy them being there. I know that Mitch is up there with one of the best players in the season, and I wouldn't have been surprised if there's any Super League clubs kind of looking at him. He's only young, and he's definitely got a natural talent for it, and it's really good news that we've managed to keep them for another year. So hopefully we'll get a lot more signings as well, ready for next season. Obviously it's very early to be thinking about where we might be next season and what the shape of the league even is going to be, but it's all looking good. So one thing that was sort of mentioned after the match on Sunday was that the squad actually is quite thin and probably down to its last 18 players, fit players. So we're still hoping that some of the players that you saw on the open training session might be back in the team soon. I kind of predicted the team from the training session. It was interesting to go to. I really enjoyed it, to be fair. I'd welcome that if that was the thing that they did for early bird season ticket holders like each year. It was fun to watch, but it also obviously give you an indication to who's fit and who's not. There were 19, I think, in the full contact training, which obviously all of them featured in the game. But Tafua was there. He was kind of doing runs around the pitch and doing some kind of running in the in-goal area for quite a lot of it. So he didn't get involved in any kind of contact or anything, but he was looking fit. So hopefully not too far off to getting him back. there was also like Hooley, Mason and Gill all kind of training together, but only doing very light training, kind of just jogging up and down the pitch and stuff. So to me, it implies that I think we won't be seeing like Hooley, Mason or Gill in the next couple of matches or so. But hopefully maybe Tafua back in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that would be good. Actually, that reminds me, I didn't say it during our game review, but it was good to see Conrad Hurrell joining the team. But we thought when he came out after half-time, he seemed to be like limping a bit already. So we were a bit worried there, but he did manage to play the second half without problem.
It seemed a bit... I don't know, he was limping, but seemed to get it back into things, so hopefully he's fit and he'll be playing next week.
Must have just been an aggressive half-time massage or something.
Maybe, yeah.
And then there's a bit of confusion, I think, over some news around the Halifax games.
Yeah, so Bulls have announced that Halifax will be playing their next 5, I think it is, home games at Odsal. This is due to them having like pitch renovations or something, I think, at the Shea. I think Bulls fans and Halifax fans, in fairness, are a bit shocked by this one. I think we'd have assumed they'd have probably chosen to come somewhere else. I mean, logistically, I understand it. From the Bulls' point of view, definitely, because it's a source of income.
Absolutely.
And also, we've been helped out by other clubs in the past, like if you think about, obviously, with Dewsbury. So the opportunity to help another club out, obviously, I can see why they've done that. It's just, I think, with the Halifax fans, I think, threatening to boycott matches because they hate Odsal so much. And, it's a bit of a strange choice. There were talks of why didn't they go to Keighley, maybe. I think that's what people were thinking. But I genuinely think maybe it's the fact that they've reached out to different clubs to ask and we've said it might just be as simple as that. I mean, from my point of view, I don't have any problem with it. I know there's lots of rivalries between Bradford and Halifax and obviously on the pitch, but at the end of the day, it's a bit of income for Bradford. It's helping Halifax out so they can actually fulfil their home games. So it's not a big thing for me, but I think it's just a bit of a head scratcher as to why it's Odsal. But yeah, I
think it's a really good opportunity for Bradford. Like you say, extra income, and it can only be good for the development plans if there are any. But I can understand Halifax being a bit sort of reluctant to come to Bradford, to another team, and are not totally up with all the rivalry and the fan feelings. Obviously, it's a local club, but if it means they can play rugby, surely
That's what I thought, to be honest. It's to hear that some of the fans are saying they're not going to go. It's only going to impacts Halifax, really, because all you're doing is playing at the ground, so it just means you're not there to support your team, you're not bringing money in the gate for your team. So I don't really understand this mentality of not turning up to the matches. It might be that it is just people on social media and they seem to be the most vocal people, but when you actually speak to the wider community of rugby league fans, it's not always the same opinion of what's on social media. So maybe I'm giving a disservice to the fans that are going to turn up regardless of where you play, because I know we were the same. We went to Dewsbury for a year. We still got season tickets. We still had brilliant crowds whilst we were there. You don't just kind of give up on your team because they're not playing where you want them to play. You follow your team, not the ground, in my opinion. So other Bulls news was we got a chance to contribute to the away kit for next season, which is quite exciting. The first thing out was about what colour it should be. Mm-hmm. So you could do a vote to see. Obviously, we've not seen the results to it, and I don't know what or when we will find out, or if there's any more influence that the fans are going to have on it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know what people were thinking. I think the choices were black, green, purple, and navy. So yeah, I personally went for navy. There's a away shirt in the past that I'm quite keen on. People probably know which one I'm on about. It's like got white arms and it's kind of full navy on the front, which is really nice. And also, I really like the new alternate training gear that we've got this year. The Voltage range, I think it's called.
Oh yes, yeah, the Voltage range. Yes.
And obviously that's like a navy colour, so something similar to that I think would be brilliant as an away kit, but that's just my personal opinion.
On to the preview of our next match. It's a visit of the Batley Bulldogs to Odsal.
Yeah, short turnaround. Both played on Sunday. So will be tough. I think it's one of those where we both will be quite tired from both playing a tough match on Sunday.
And I see you've put here that they've sacked their coach. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it says he's left, obviously. Whether he's sacked or not, but I get the feeling that's maybe how it's gone. I know they've not been overly successful, should we say, in the first half of the season, a bit up and down. But as is the curse with coaches, usually as soon as you lose a coach, you win the next match. So
you manage about, so they say in football. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough because obviously they'll be out with a point to prove to show that they can win the tough matches, and obviously we've got a bit of injury strife.
Probably without Suter. He seems to be out for a length of time. Also Donaldson, a long-term injury.
Yeah, Suter obviously went off injured at York. It looks like, I think it's a shoulder injury, they said, but they're not sure on the length of time yet. I think it's too early to tell, but I can't see that he'd be featuring on Friday. And I think Donaldson, I think it's been said that he might be out for the season, which would be really disappointing, but I'm not 100% if that's been confirmed or not, but yeah, so it's going to be to the bones, I think, and having to use players that might be quite tired after a Sunday match and a full week at work,
or not quite up to total match fitness. Maybe like Tafua, maybe Hooley, Mason Gill, who knows?
Yes, I suppose it depends on how far they've come in the training. If they've managed to get a bit of contact training this week, maybe. But with the short turnaround, I'm not sure if we'll see them either. So I'm thinking maybe a similar squad to what we saw this week, but obviously minus Suter, which should probably, I think that it'll be probably Keys and Meadows in the halves. They'll start Tom Holmes at fullback this time and have Lily as main hooker and maybe bring Ott in for the interchange hooker with Suter being out, but we shall see. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, so last time we met Batley, we performed really well.
Yeah, the time before that, we all know, I think we all remember that one, the 1895 Cup game that we had with them. Bit of a feisty one, that one was. It was, lots of dirty match, really. I think is the best way to describe it. Yeah, a bit of bad behaviour. I don't know if the guy that got banned, I think it was Dane Manning from Batley, had a long match ban for his punching. I'm not sure if he's back or he's still banned. I'm kind of hoping he's still banned because I don't think anyone will be ready for round 2 with that. I'd prefer a cleaner match at Odsal this Friday. Yeah,
so your prediction then? Bradford win?
Yeah, I would hope for a Bradford win. I'm going to be optimistic this week. I'm going to say yes, Bradford win, but if we make the same mistakes that we did against York, we're going to be vulnerable and we could slip up. I would hope it would be a good win, as in like we'll put a few points past them, but if we do creep into the errors and the penalties and all the rest like we had this week, it's going to be a close one, and it wouldn't surprise me if then Batley could pip us to the post with maybe by a couple of points. But no, I'll try and be optimistic this week and I'll say Bulls win.
And just one note to add to that, do you think it'll be another game like Doncaster where we were down to only a few players left to interchange?
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that the squad's deep enough to have cover. It's just obviously not going to maybe be first choices for some things, but sometimes it works out better. I think the players who are on the fringes, who are not getting the game time, if they get given the opportunity, want to prove a point. So it's their chance to stamp their authority on it and show that, yeah, you should be picking me. So, yeah, it's a good opportunity for other players to have a go if we have got a few injuries, and I'm still going to be optimistic this week.
Excellent, very good. Now it is time for Bull or No-ble, and you'll be pleased to know, Laura, that I have picked 3 statements all related to our new signing, Conrad Howell.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. Statement 1 is, while playing for Leeds Rhinos, he scored 5 tries in a single game, and that's his record. He played 3 seasons for the Rhinos, scoring 23 tries, and he is 6 foot tall.
Right. Is there just one that's Bull?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I think No-ble would be the 23 tries in the season.
Right.
Maybe. But it does seem like quite a lot. But he's a centre, so... Yeah, it's because the 5 tries in a match, that's only certain players... Wait, 5 tries or 4? 5. I'm sure only certain players have done that, and I've not had it... Like, he's not on my radar as being one of those players.
Yeah.
And what was the final statement?
He's 6 foot tall.
See, that's what's throwing me as well, because obviously seeing him on the pitch and looking how tall he is compared to some others, I was thinking to myself, he's not too far off like Sam Hallis's height, and I know he's not 6 foot. So that kind of throws the spanner in the works for me if there's only one of these that's true.
But one of them's false.
So one of
them's false.
One of them that's false, because I would say that 1 and 3 were false.
No.
But let's go for 1. I'll go for 1 as the false. No, I won't. I'll go for the 6 foot.
Oh no, you nearly had it.
Oh.
He is 6 foot tall.
He can't be 6 foot.
Apparently, according to Wikipedia. I
think someone needs to measure him, because I'm not sure he's 6 foot. I know we see from a distance, but I know that people, like, I think sometimes make fun about like how tall Sam is, and he seems... Well, I don't think he was that much taller, if not the same.
While playing for Leeds Rhinos, he scored 4 tries against Hull KR in a single game. That was his personal record. And yes, he did indeed score 23 tries in 3 seasons at Leeds Rhinos. In 1 season, he scored 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's frustrating, because I was thinking, yeah, I should have stuck to my guns. I knew there were 5 tries were only certain players, so... Never mind.
So
I'll get one right one day.
You will. So that brings us to the end of another episode.
Yeah, thanks again for anyone who's tuned in, and like we said before, tell your friends, tell anyone who wants to listen. Hopefully, like I say, we can get some fan input and some comments on things you want us to talk about, or we can get some opinions on things that we've talked about in previous episodes or on this one. You can follow us on X, Blue Sky, Instagram. We've also got a Facebook page now, and on Threads. You can listen on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
So definitely cheer on the Bulls on Friday night, and we will be back next week to talk about that game and to preview the following one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Come on, you Bulls!